I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies.
Welcome to Cookies, the world's most influential basketball podcast. I am Ben Dietrich. Jordan Fidelli is on vacation, but Andrew Kuo does not take days off. How are you feeling, Mr. Kuo, on this gorgeous May afternoon?
Finally not being poisoned by my own carbon dioxide from this mask. I'm finally maskless. Feeling incredible for the first time in 15 months or so. How about you? How are you feeling?
Well, my apartment is kind of full of smoke from all the masks I was burning.
All that smoke. Wow.
I wanted all the smoke, and then I got it by mask burning.
How do the flames of that turquoise blue mask look? Is it like one of those Yule logs that change colors?
It's kind of like the shadow of a demon, like maybe sort of a George Soros, Bill Gates type cackling, but only instantaneously, and then he kind of like disappears into like the smoke and the fumes.
Oh, so you're saying it's sort of like a candle that you're staring at, or a Randall, whatever.
Yes.
in a way.
Yeah, it's just nice to be free of that Soros muzzle, you know?
It's nice to have my liberties given back to me. I'm finally free to express my maskless self.
You seem, what's the word I'm looking for? Liberated?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I can shoot my guns like a free American.
So the CDC, a good month after Cookies Hoops declared that COVID was over, the CDC has finally come around to it and said, burn your masks. Just get them out of your house. Throw them out. Do whatever it takes. Just get those masks out of my face. And you can, like, eat indoors without a mask. You can go in stores without a mask. You can do whatever you want. Maskless. I mean, it kind of took them a while to get to there as the incentivization process to getting vaccinated.
Yeah. I feel like they were stuck because they didn't want to say this all, because obviously some of this was true when we declared it, but earlier on, when you're vaxxed, you're vaxxed. But so many people were just like fighting it for so many different reasons. I feel like they had to bring out the big guns and be like, guys, it's super awesome to get vaxxed, and you can do whatever you want. Imagine a world where you can do whatever you want when you're vaxxed. Get the vaccine.
It was mystifying that they didn't employ this life is normal when you're vaxxed messaging early on. Instead, some of them, okay, you can meet with other vaccinated people in tiny groups, maybe indoors for a short period of time if you get the vaccine. Like, come on, sell this thing.
Well, I kind of like the way they played it, or I can relate to the way they played it, because there's still stuff they don't know and didn't know, and it's sort of like when you look up, like, my thumb hurts from playing PlayStation. I'm going to go to WebMD to see what it is. It's like, you have cancer, go to the doctor. It's like a liability thing. They just didn't know enough to say this. But
right.
It backfired on them, and people started being scared of the vaccine. Like, don't be scared of this very safe thing. It's like Advil, basically.
Right. That's what I agree. Their hesitancy was out of an overabundance of caution, perhaps. But I'm just like, sales pitch, man. Sales pitch. You take the vax, the pandemic is over. And then we don't have to get into talking about, like, the spikes are shedding from the vaccine. And, like, we can avoid that whole thing. And also, even now, what's the incentive if you've been an anti-vaxxer and an anti-masker the whole time? Okay, so it's over, right? We're good? Why would I go get a vax now?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as we've been trying to wrap our heads around this, myself personally unsuccessfully, it's like there's so many mental gymnastics you could do to end up in the place of, I am correct. I am the foremost expert in COVID. And I mean, it kind of leads me to believe, like, I always thought someone should do an app. No one steal my idea, proprietary. I wanted a PR app for your phone where it would stop you from tweeting dumb shit. Be like, don't tweet that because no one's asking for it. It might not get you that many likes, but it might get you tons of hate. It's just like an app just being like, before you want, I think there's an app that makes you wait a second before you tweet or post anything. But did the CDC need like a banging PR company to help them with this?
Yeah, I mean, it should have just been like vaccine equals orgies.
But like, okay, what if you don't partake in orgies? What if it was an orgy of French fries, which
It could be whatever orgies you want, just various orgies. Orgies of fries, orgies of sex,
and
orgies, sex and beers.
the orgiastic and beer that you enjoy at the bar. Yeah, I think there's so many ways to do this, right? Like every subculture, like we need to get incels vaccinated. Guys, you can have less sex if you get this vaccine, even less than you possibly could imagine.
Interns.
Yeah, imagine less gruel and more interns. I mean,
Whoa.
we got to get these interns vaxxed, man.
They're fine. I feel like it's kind of natural selection over there.
Yeah, or if an intern wants to get a vax, we'll promise to hire 5 more interns and keep the same amount of gruel. It's math, baby.
I mean, I think the last few days, you've seen a natural progression towards the CDC saying this in terms of a behavioral shift, even in New York, which I think is pretty conservative and has been very conscientious about mask wearing and things like that. Last few days, last week, I mean, it's like the amount of masks out there have been decreasing pretty exponentially.
Yeah, I've noticed it too. It's
Well,
cool.
That second shot hit, and people hit their 2 weeks, and it's like, and I'm out.
I'm psyched. I mean, my 2 weeks hit, and I definitely felt better than I did a day before. But like we talked last time, I am not like I cannot let myself think about masks. Although we're talking about it, it's like I just can't let this thing take over my life. Like I'm trying with Twitter so hard. Like I cannot think of a funny tweet for longer than 7 hours per day. It has to be 6.
I mean, masks are kind of funny.
I like them.
And there's a magnetism because they're so visible, they're so public, and it's your face, and that's why people have reacted so strongly in various ways to it, I think. But I guess my point was the CDC following the momentum caused by Cookies Hoops declaring COVID over and the natural behavior of people.
Yeah,
this is people are like, oh my god, they announced it. You're like, yeah, this is what was always going to happen, though.
Yeah, and it's about on time, right? Like we were hoping for it to be the winter, so we're kind of behind. It's just surreal to hear it. Being like, hey guys, this is official. Like you're probably good to go. Right. Enough where you don't have to really do anything now. The CDC is like, people who've been vaccinated don't have to socially distance. You can just live your life. And it's going to be confusing. But if you're vaxxed, you don't have to worry about other things. Kids, I don't know. It's like it gets kind of complicated. I think we should still not be morons. But my version of not being a moron is different than someone else's version.
And also how fast people reacclimate has a lot to do with how you've spent the last year as well. If you were extremely cautious, it might take you a little bit longer to get back in the swing of things. My general philosophy on it is give someone and beer.
Just one.
And maybe and beer 2, more and beers. By a couple and beers in, most people will say, what the fuck was that last year? That was wild. Anyway, what's going on? I think it shifts.
Lucky.
I think it shifts pretty quick in a lot of cases.
If you're lucky, like I always think about, not to be downer, but 9/11, right? And like never forget. And the joke is like human beings, the only reason we can like have good days is because we forget a ton of stuff. Like we're kind of like goldfish. It's like, remember, everyone dies. I'm like, I forgot about that part. It's like everyone gets sick and dies. It's like, not me though, right? It's like even you. And I guess like I think it's good that we can forget certain things, and I think people should forget that it's a petri dish of danger out there sometimes. You don't want to be Julianne Moore and safe and like be allergic to living. But also, I consider myself in a place of privilege because none of my immediate friends or family had to suffer from this.
Right. My point was not to underplay the trauma that this was inflicted on people in both mental ways and physical ways, but to say that we are more resilient than we give ourselves credit for. And I think when people had, picnics outside, socially distanced, wearing masks, and like, this feels weird. I'm not used to hanging out. That's because you never hung out like that. That's an unnatural way of hanging out. So it feels weird when you're hanging out because of the circumstances. That first time when you're back in a bar, inside, there's people around, music playing, you have a couple and beers, feels really normal really quickly.
Yeah. I mean, it's like riding a bike having that single beer. Just hop right on. I know how to do this.
You've been doing this your whole life. That's 20 times more than you spent dealing with COVID.
I'm like a third done with this beer. I'm a halfway done with this beer. I'm almost done with this. I'm done with a beer. I know what I'm doing, man.
You know what? I might have to have beer.
Yeah. Well,
ahead.
I mean, now that things are, but we're trying to incentivize people to get this thing. Let's say a thing that you don't want to do, like root for the Celtics. Okay. What's it going to take for someone to get you to wear an Antoine Walker employee number 8 jersey out to Dime Square? Like, what do you need? Do you need French fries from Shake Shack? Do you need beer from Yankee Stadium? What's it going to take?
A chance in the Ohio lottery to win $1 million?
That is the smartest thing because that's like the cheapest way to do it. Because, I find that to be so fascinating, right? Because a lot of COVID behavior was based off of like a misinterpretation of numbers and probability. It's like, how about this lottery? It's just like, ooh, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm like, no, you won't. They'll give you nothing.
But I like that one because it's not incentivizing people who are skeptical with things that weren't available to people who went and got the vax, when they could. And like, greater good here. I'm okay with that. If it was like, all right, all you vaxxed people out there, unvaxxed people, all right, we're going to get each of you get $200. I would not raise a stink. I don't care. But I do like that the lottery system is everybody who's been inoculated is in the pool.
It's fun.
I like that idea. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, sometimes we should just pay people to get the vaccination, like split that $1 million up and give everyone like, I don't know, $20-$30. But what's it going to take, man? Stop dodging the question. Can I seduce you with some crinkle cut fries?
For me,
yeah,
all you have to say is you will never have to do an elbow bump again.
You don't like the elbow bump?
Oh, the worst.
But
worst.
Why were you doing them? I don't think I've done a single elbow bump. Maybe one. I don't know.
Early on, remember, like, all right, we're doing the elbow bump.
Yeah, I did like this lame version of like a two-handed wave. One wave, it's like, are we going to bump? Another wave is like, keep your distance. So the right hand was hello. The left hand was stay away.
He's like sort of like air traffic controller.
Yeah, I did that, It's like I didn't know what to do. I do a lot of like hands together, like bowing, like a lot of Asian stuff going on. But I usually do so much communicating with my mouth, aside from talking, but like smiling and stuff. And since you can't see anyone's face, so I did a lot of like praying hands and like bowing my head.
The bowing is really good. That works really well for you.
Yeah, because I'm short and Chinese.
And people are like,
he's
yes,
a ninja.
Absolutely. He's
obviously
bowing, like he's showing respect. This is his culture. If I bow, like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm a kung fu master. You are maybe a YMCA legend.
Yeah, when I'd meet someone, I wouldn't want to give them the elbow bump, so I'd kowtow. I'd place my forehead on the cement in front of their feet. Perhaps, give their shoes a good polish.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I thought all this weird behavior as we were figuring it out was like all kind of funny. I was just like glad to be alive, man. To be honest, like I was just really psyched to have maybe not suffered as much as other people. That's all, man. This whole thing was kind of, it's a tough year, man.
It was a tough year. I don't mind the elbow bump
Yeah.
in like mid-COVID. We're like, okay, we're doing the elbow bump. Fine. I remember going through
elbow's been.
like Nomi Fry's birthday party, showing up there indoors, and we're all like, now we do the elbow thing. Little did we know how the world would change. We were in there elbow bumping in a jam-packed bar with a low ceiling.
It didn't really work because this was before Rudy Gobert started COVID, but we were all in there for that joyous event, eating snacks, drinking and beer. And towards the end, after like a 3/4 of end beer, people were like, let's come in for a hug, buddy. You know, like, I'll see you next week. No more elbow bumping. And who knows, that could have been a super spreader event, but we'll never know.
But the elbow bumping, again, did not mind it in the throes of the first wave. But as something that should stick around, I don't like it. Because you already have, like, are we dapping? Are we going in for a pound? Are we doing a handshake? And then throwing in, like, one more variable of the elbow?
Yeah.
I don't like it. Overcomplication of the greetings.
We never got to a consensus. You know, there was no agreed way to do this. Yeah, I didn't mind the dapping. The fist bumping was okay. Well, you know, the elbow bump was kind of lame because, like, politicians were doing it, so automatically it sucks. Sort of like Obama's best of list. Just cross that off. That's cool.
Yeah, the elbow bump never looks cool, but it looks even worse when it's Joe Biden.
Yeah, like, dudes who are like 74 years old, like Joe Biden and Obi Toppin, doing elbow bumps, just kind of like negate it from being dime square fodder, you know?
So, also, the thing with the elbow bump was that, didn't it technically get you closer to the person than, say, like an extended arm would have?
I don't know, man. Probably.
Just saying.
Depends on how tight your elbow bump is.
Your wingspan, of course.
Yeah, I don't have long elbows, so you probably have to get close to me. But can you imagine elbow bumping Matisse Thybulle? It's just like a different zip code.
Very safe. Very safe.
Super.
And some people I saw were saying, is there like a house party going on behind you?
Yeah, so there's this guy who plays like jams outside of his car every day, right outside my window. And I have to admit, he's got great taste in music.
Does he know we're potting?
He may think that this is not the perfect pod and may be adding to it. This might go on for an hour, which is fortunate and unfortunate, but it's called New York. Look it up.
Yeah, who said New York is dead, right? Ask this guy. It's alive. It's alive and well.
Yeah. I saw him today as I was running an errand, and he's just like a cool kid bumping music out of his nice car. He had a flag. I forget what flag. He had a political stance today. But I don't know. I love this city, man. So that stuff never gets on my nerves. He kind of heard us and piped down. But he plays a lot of heavy house music. One time I heard him play Baltimore House, and it blew my mind. I was very excited. I love Baltimore House. It doesn't get enough traction.
Good sound, that Baltimore House. Mm-hmm. Well, he seems to have realized that we were potting and has shown due respect for the process.
It's don't make this mistake, man, because it sounds like he's taking a break from partying, but he's just building up to another drop.
It's a crescendo. One last thing about the elbow bumps is the people who say, I'm not shaking hands again. I've realized the unsanitary nature of humanity, the gross things that you people have been doing and behind closed doors with those appendages. I'm done with handshakes. Can you live without handshakes?
Sure.
Can
I
you?
don't know. Yeah, I think so. I love a handshake, but all this stuff is great. But now I don't know what to do with it because, like, all these thoughts, I mean, you have perfect pods, but, like, does it make a good stand-up routine? Can someone, like, incorporate this into, like, their lives usefully? I don't know. Sometimes, like, I just really think about Seinfeld a lot.
I'm imagining someone at a job interview being like, FYI, I don't shake hands. Like, well, but you're going to be a car salesman. You got to make these deals. Like, I don't. I'm just not a handshaker. Can't do it. I'm like, how long can you maintain that? Like, you work from home, sure, no handshaking. But, like, day to day, like, here's my father. Sorry, I don't shake hands. Tough to stare someone in the face with an extended hand and say, I'm not doing it.
Baby boomers would have a tough time with that, man.
Yeah,
a handshake seals the deal. Yeah. I've been signing my emails differently these days. So I used to say like thank you with an exclamation point, and then I learned that was rude, talking about handshakes. And then I started doing best, comma, but I thought that was too cold and procedural. Now I just do a TY with an exclamation point. Is that weak?
Well, are you asking people to do stuff?
Oh no, it's everything. I mean, I don't really converse with my friends via email. It's always text. So it's always kind of like semi-work related, or like me complaining about a service on my Roku or something. But yeah.
But what you're saying is it's a general call to action when you send an email.
Sure. Yeah, what's the most polite way to be like, I would love this coupon to save $3 off my subscription. Thank you.
Thank you, exclamation point seems fine.
They say it's passive aggressive. It's like thanks with an extended S.
Is the right way to do it, or that's
a bad way to do it. They find that to be a little off-putting.
I've known some people who would really labor over emails they would send to a boss or stuff. So I've kind of taken the opposite route, generally speaking, and go with lower caps, no punctuation.
Lower caps, no punctuation. Yeah, okay.
Like it's like, look, I don't want this to be interpreted in any possible way as like, why is there a period there? Or is that are they trying to make a message?
Yeah.
Like, are you being overly formal? It's like, no, it's completely informal. It's jotted down. I'm not even thinking about it. There's no consideration whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, if someone has a request for me and writes, please advise, I might go over to their house, knock on their door, and glare at them.
And just advise the hell out of them.
I would not even give them an elbow bump. Nowhere close to an elbow bump. I'm like, I cannot acknowledge you as an ally because you wrote, please advise.
Please advise is too corporate speak. It doesn't work.
It's very aggressive, I feel.
I view it as hostile. I feel like you even saying it to me right now, I'm bristling over here.
Please advise. What should the Knicks do this offseason? Please advise. You'd be like, well, they should fight you is the first thing.
It is so prickish.
Yeah, you can't do that. Yet it happens, man. Anyway, so
I feel like any ideas is the way you say please advise, right? Thoughts, question mark. There's a lot of ways to avoid the dreaded please advise.
I would do just lemme, Lemme, no, exclamation point.
Casual, enthusiastic.
Apologetic. The exclamation point is apologetic. As an Asian, I've been told I apologize too much as a short Asian. So I've heard people tell me to not say sorry. Like, oh, sorry if you didn't get this before, but I'd really love to order that.
I agree. I say, quote, take what's yours.
Yeah, the world is mine. I heard Nas tell me this once.
Yeah,
in an
twism,
album.
baby.
Yeah. All right, so, like, what's it going to take for you to wear an Antoine Walker employee number 8 You Make Baskets jersey in Dime Square?
I mean, I thought it was the lack of elbow bumps, but...
Oh, okay. Okay, that was the answer. I like that. That was kind of lame because I'm sitting here with some French fries and you have a lack of acknowledgement with elbows.
It's just negative space.
Yeah. It's like, okay, no one's elbow bumping you. I'm eating crinkle cut fries.
Oh, you have an elbow-sized void in your heart.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, look, a Yankee Stadium beer. What did you get, Ben?
You didn't get acknowledgments from your friends.
Yeah.
I'm looking out and everyone's just walking by, elbow bumping gleefully. And I'm like, what have I done?
In an Antoine Walker jersey.
They're in my Dino Raja authentic. Like, what have I've made a terrible mistake.
Did you see that they're giving tours? Someone took a snap of a tour group doing Dime Square where a bunch of people was were listening to somebody describe something about the neighborhood. If
Here's
Cookies,
where Ben Smith
Yeah.
stood while writing the article about the Drunken Canal.
and we know that that corner is not the 5 points, right? Like it was rumored that Dime Square had the 5. That was the 5 points at Division and Canal, but it's not. Of Leonardo DiCaprio, what is that? The Gangs of New York, right?
My understanding is that it's further west and maybe
Yeah.
further south.
Yeah. Which is weird because that's kind of a no man's land a little bit, like near Basketball City, near the water in Manhattan.
Is that where it was?
I don't know. Probably not as far because Basketball City's on the water, but where Cookies Hoops won the Nada tournament. Weird that I brought that up.
All right,
But-
so 5 Points neighborhood, because we are the perfect pod, we can access this kind of information. Apparently was in Chinatown.
But not Dime Square.
Well,
right?
sort of. The 5 Points area is kind of large, and it includes the other side of Bowery in Chinatown. Mm-hmm. So the west side of Bowery,
Oh, interesting.
and like between Center and Bowery, beneath Canal, and then it extends down kind of in the shape of Ohio along that like curve of the Bowery.
That's where the drunk tank is.
Yeah, it goes down to there, and then the Civic Center is like part of it.
Oh, tight.
Yeah, that's where it is. If anyone asks you, you learned on Cookies Hoops.
So we wouldn't give the tour that would describe that Dime Square was not where the 5 points was. What? And I started thinking about what was
Can
in
you
Dime
take us to 5 Points? No,
as fun.
absolutely not. No.
Did you ever go to Ass Gallery, ASS, Asia Song Society, on Canal back in the day?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Was
It's
that
Terrence Coe's gallery. Terrence Coe had his studio in that building on Canal.
was
It
it
had-
upstairs?
It was ground floor, but sometimes it would creep upstairs. Like this gallery named Rena Spallings was there, and like, there, Dime Square has been popping for a while. I would almost claim that when Dime's restaurant, a pretty good restaurant, moved in, it's kind of over. But thanks to Ivan and Clandestino, it's back, baby.
I like that our friend Despot worked on opening up a cafe called Time Cafe down there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why'd you call it the Time Cafe? And he's like, well, I'm hoping that it'll also take on like a neighborhood thing and we can call it Times Square. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I love that cafe. We were privy to get some watermelon juice from there one afternoon
Sure did.
before COVID. I love what they do there. I don't know if they survived the COVID, but I'm ready for this neighborhood to come back, man.
What's the vibe check of the tour right now?
Yeah, I was just in Dime Square the other day shopping for groceries. It's nice down there, man. Everything seems to have survived-ish. Like Servos is back open. Obviously, the Clan is back open. People have been going to
having Canal shut down for traffic, and then having Division Street there with all the outdoor seating. It really feels like a different neighborhood in some ways than it did pre-COVID.
Yeah, and it's really small. Like it's only like 2.5 blocks, right? But New York is insane right now, as you can hear from outside my window. Like you go out there and it's bonobos for days, man. A lot of shorts, a lot of like still patterned button-down tees with short sleeves, button-down shirts.
Come on, no one's shopping a year. Give them a break. They're going to be out in their top hats and their
Wow.
tuxedos soon, I'm sure.
Wow, with their Julius Randle jerseys that they bought when he first signed with the Knicks.
Pelicans
Aged well.
Pelicans Randall's jerseys.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see how reckless New York City actually gets. I want it to get peak reckless, obviously safe, but like I want people to go off, man. It's been a tough year. Let your freak flags fly.
I also think a lot of people were like, I'm gonna go nuts this summer. Like, I bet it's 2 hangovers. Like, and you're like,
Oh yeah, drinking.
all right,
sucks.
that was crazy. That was a nuts Thursday Friday combo. Let's get back to normalcy here.
I mean, there's always that opinion editorial that's just like, is it going to be hard to go back? If you were lucky enough to have like an apartment and like access to stuff to keep yourself entertained and alive, like this last year, we kind of like, as your previous point, human beings can adapt so quickly, and like nesting is not something that's unnatural to us. So I'll be interested to see how off we go.
Are you going off as we speak?
Dude, I said I'm not choking on my own carbon dioxide.
Oh, you burn the masks. Yes.
Yeah. And I've been watching Prestige HBO, so in a way that is going off.
You know what? The last thing about the Dime Square tours, this happens in every neighborhood though, right? Like I remember when they began in Williamsburg. It was like, what? Williamsburg tours?
Did they go to Cookies and like Club Trash?
By the end of them, they were like meeting in front of the Duane Reade.
Trash bar.
And you're like, there aren't even any sights to see anymore. Everything's been replaced, like exactly Trash Bar. So this Overthrow Boxing Gym is where Trash Bar used to be, which is where Lux used to be. Cool.
Yeah.
This used to be the Vice office. Now this is the Vice office.
There was a music scene called Electro Clash that kind of just stayed in this one bar. That birthed like the Yeah, which are huge, right? Who are huge. I don't know, man. I appreciate that stuff, and I am never going to be like locals only kind of, because I don't know where that begins and ends. But I'm so curious as to what a tour of Times Square or Williamsburg would be. You can do a good one for sure, but it would be like,
we might have to take this Dime Square tour.
Oh yeah. Let's do a Cookies Day Out.
See the sights of Dime Square.
It's like, here's where there used to be drum and bass nights. Oh, I remember that club that I used to go to on Orchard Street, from the last pod, where I used to go to drum and bass nights. Remember Swim?
I was about to say, I think it's Swim.
Yeah, that was an awesome place. It's tiny.
I DJ'd there a couple times.
Well, okay. Which Mobb Deep record did you play the most?
That era, I was probably playing some Little Flip.
Little Flip was good.
If I remember correctly, and I think I do, I was playing Little Flip.
If I'm right, and I do think I am.
Maybe a little David Banner. It was absolutely that era.
Wow. Yo, what happened to Joe Budden, your dude?
I gotta be honest with you, man. I don't know. I just saw he was trending, and people were mad or happy with him or sad with him. I didn't understand the context. I don't listen to his pod.
Yeah.
Maybe it's great. I don't know if it's perfect.
Well, what can be? We set the new bar every time we pod, so he's definitely not perfect right now, as we are. We'll see at the end of the pod.
Hard to do that.
Well, he turned into like a shock jock, right? Which is kind of like a natural evolution for a rapper. He turned into like your classic, I don't know, Howard Stern, Don Imus kind of thing. And tons of listeners, but like fights with his dudes on the radio, says one thing, contradicts himself about money. I don't know. I was never that really into Joe Budden, but like it led me to think like I would really love some of my favorite rappers to have radio shows. Like, I don't know,
a few of them do it. Like Nori has his drink champs.
That's tough to watch, man. I've tried to watch that, and I find that to be a little sad. It's hard watching someone get obliterated by alcohol.
I also feel like he's a pretty good interviewer. He doesn't necessarily need to do that. Like, he could have really fascinating content without people getting annihilated.
I'm saying, like, where's the Capone annihilation show? Just Nori all the time, but where's Capone these days?
Are you saying this is tragedy Gaddafi erasure?
Yeah. Where's Louisville Sluggers perfect pod? I don't know.
It is weird though with the NBA, and I mean, I guess with rap as well, and almost any topic. It's so easy for people to make imperfect pods these days that there's an astounding amount of interviews out there that you just miss. Like,
yeah.
Oh, Ben Wallace was on this pod that you've never heard. I'm like, I don't even know how I would have gotten exposed to that, but that's cool.
Yeah.
And hear Ben Wallace talk about his life and growing up and playing against Shaq in the in the finals. You're like, I've never heard him talk about those things. Not to say he hasn't, but I just haven't.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Rod Strickland on a pod. You're like, fuck. I like hearing Rod Strickland talk about stuff.
It's tough. Like, we can be fans of basketball forever, and then Jimmy Butler will tell JJ Redick exactly why he's not a Philadelphia 76ers. And it's just like, do I have to listen to JJ Redick's pod now because I want to know? I guess so, right? Because, like, to your point, at any given moment, there could be a nugget of information that you've been dying for.
And yet, nice try.
I know, like...
He's actually a pretty good host, though.
JJ Redick?
Yeah.
He's turned into, like, an interesting NBA guy, right? Like, he kind of embraced the media, the social media part of it, and doesn't do a bad job. I don't know.
For a college player that I, like most people with any sort of character, totally loathed at Duke. Not so bad. Not so bad.
He's been, like, his story is interesting. He kind of redeemed himself and became kind of known as, like, not a hated graduate of the one and done bus factory somehow, because Christian Laettner couldn't do it. Your boy Ala Abdel Nabi couldn't do it. Cherokee Parks, who knows? But yeah, people forget that JJ Redick was like a deeply resented player.
For good reason.
Yeah, he kind of got not my favorite vibe, but now kind of like a good vibe, right?
He just kind of improved his hair mildly and got a tattoo, and now we've said, all right, you're good.
He showed up with that sleeve. He got that summer sleeve.
That's all it was.
Yeah, man. It's like, look, it's my friend with a sleeve.
Ooh, this guy's cool.
Are there Japanese waves on this arm? Yeah, yes, there are. Are there fish on this arm? Yeah.
I was about to say, have you seen the guy? He's got koi fish on his arm. What the hell?
Yeah, I went to Japan and I was told not to show my tattoos because it's kind of a different thing there. And I was like, what, you mean this Bart Simpson staring at a slice of pizza is going to be misinterpreted?
He's in the gang.
Yeah, this Linsanity Forever number 17 is going to be misinterpreted. But
yeah, Quo's been assaulted in the street by gang members for showing the broken bottle that says Max Fish.
Yeah. Is like the book with the bookworm coming out smoking a pipe going to offend somebody? I don't know.
In our culture, sir.
Yeah. I do have a basketball missing a shot, and I told you this story. I was like, yeah, can you just give me this basketball missing the I just showed him the drawing, and then after it was all done, I was like, cool, it actually looks like it was missing. And he was like, I was wondering about that. And I was like, now you tell me. But, you know, ink is very forgettable. I don't think ink is important. If you get a bad tattoo, surround it with 20 others, and you're good to go.
I don't have tattoos, but I will follow your philosophy, which is just don't think about your tattoos.
Just befriend somebody who's practicing, and you're just going to be JJ Redick in a summer.
Yeah, one of my friends is like, well, if I get a tattoo, and this guy's like 50 years old, if I do it,
yeah,
it's going to be something that's really important to me. I'm like, I think that's the wrong approach.
Daredevil tattoo in Dime Square once was just like, hey man, do you want to just get like covered, because we always need to practice and like we're homies, so like we won't charge you anything. You could just buy us beer and you can come like after hours, and you could just get like all the work done that you want. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to be the dude with tattoos on my legs. You know what I mean? Kind of crosses them.
That's a lot of commitment to being like the tattoo guy.
I can't even commit to another color other than like your standard black ink. Like I have no colored tattoos. It's a lot.
Would you like to get a calf tattoo?
No, I would not like to get a calf tattoo. Like,
but you could showcase it when you're wearing Knicks shorts and Wallabies.
Well, one of my friends got a really amazing calf tattoo, which was a British bulldog crushing a Bud can. And I know that sounds lame, but it looked so good.
Sounds great.
It was awesome. It was huge.
It's crushing and can of beer.
A tall boy, so it's like a beer and a half. So what constitute N beer? Because sometimes a draft is 16 ounces, man.
It's still in beer.
Okay. So what about a tub? Can I get like
beer?
Like one of those mini Heineken kegs is
Mm-hmm,
N beer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, we're gonna party, dude. I'm gonna get N keg of beer.
Question about tall boys. Do you ever call the regular cans short boys?
No, it's like people who call Bud regular instead of Bud Light.
Does anyone call them short boys? Is that a thing?
No, I've never heard that. I've been called that, but like not a beer I've been drinking.
Is calling them short boys short culture?
Appropriation, or is tall boy short culture envy?
Fuck.
Yeah, it's you never know.
I like the phrase tall boys. I'm just curious. Can we just is this short can erasure? It's just small boys, tall boys. Can we just call them short boys? Small boys?
Well, there needs to be like a control for this language, right? So something has to be like, it's crazy. Shout out to Pablo Torre, friend of the pod, but he had this tweet once, which was like, only in America is the fermented reproductive organ of a flower called plain, which is hilarious, right? Which is more vanilla. But like, a Budweiser has to be a Budweiser, a beer, in order to be a tall boy, because tall compared to what?
Right. Well, compared to the small boy.
Small compared to what? A tall boy?
Right.
Then what's in the middle? I don't know. I think
Yeah, it's true. It's true. There's got to be a
Control.
wall to bounce the ball off of, right?
yeah, you need Doc Rivers to bounce your good stuff off of. But I think, have you ever been convinced to call them pounders?
No,
But you've heard that phrase or that
I
term.
believe so. Is it because you pound them, or they weigh a pound?
I mean, it's tough because you pound one beer always, right?
Because if it's a pounders, but that would be 16 ounces, so that's not enough to be a tall boy, right?
See,
aren't tall? Well, maybe tall boys are 16 ounces.
They're
So that would
16.
be
They're 16.
So the pounder makes sense. Maybe it's not an actual guzzling element. It's
Yeah.
like literally the weight.
See, I'm really confused because I thought you were the mayor of Pound Town. So I thought you would have an answer for this.
Welcome to Pound Town.
Oh, I'm taking this to Pound Town. Hello, I'm the mayor.
Speaking of the mayor of Pound Town,
Yeah.
you getting your Prestige TV on?
Hells yeah, I live in Prestige TV, man. Show me an actor from Titanic in a TV show, and I'll show you a happy camper. That would be me.
Mayor of Pound Town to the mayor of Easttown.
Which is like only 45 minutes from Wells Fargo Arena, man. I did some Google mapping on that.
What, Pound Town?
Well, if Easttown was Pound Town,
Oh, I was going to say Pound Town.
is a state of mind.
Pound Town's everywhere.
Yeah, it's like Hornyville, Keith Van Horn's, of which Keith Van Horn is the mayor of, right?
So, all right.
Horntown.
I was a little slow into watching the mayor of the mayor of Easttown. Sorry, mayor of Easttown. No,
Right. Was she even there during the tough times of Easttown? I don't know.
did she leave while child murders were occurring, and then came back and ran for mayor of Easttown?
Is her
Anyway.
book Catcher in the Rye? Is her favorite book a J.D.
Did
Salinger
she have
book?
someone feeding her answers on the New York Times quiz about the prices of housing in New York City, Brooklyn specifically? That's being accused, by the way. That Yang got it right and like someone was feeding information.
Oh yeah, because people are really weird. Is she calling that chicken soup?
Also, the guy who used to work for HUD said it was 100,000 versus 900,000. That's wild. This was your job.
Politicians are deeply, deeply disappointing to me. I always say this, but when I was a kid, I thought politicians were the smart people in life. As an adult, I realized they are not the smart people in life necessarily. And it's hard to be a politician. I don't like politicians. I don't like cops. I don't like any of this. Shout out to Gen X Tranquility. We were taught to be skeptical of all these people. So none of this shit is stuff I care about.
Like, mommy, I want to be a cop. No, get in the cipher. Skateboard.
Learn the elements of hip hop right now.
That's all we learned is
All
Gen X.
15. Yeah.
Street entrepreneurialism, yes.
Put on these Timberlands, but not as an undercover cop. Oh, so tricky.
So, Mayor of Easttown. It's got Kate Winslet in it. She's looking great.
Oh, wow. I did not expect it to go there that fast.
I don't mean this in a sexual way necessarily. She's looking great. I like watching her on screen. She looks great out there.
She is.
Kate Winslet.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because no spoilers, or spoilers alert. She is the object of affection in this story, which is interesting as a mare, because a mare is like, isn't that a type of horse that is used for like reproducing other horses? I don't know.
Could
My
be.
horse game is not tight.
I think it's just
A male horse,
a female horse.
a female horse.
But there may be more specifics to it.
Hmm.
Like a stud versus just a male horse.
I don't know. I mean, there's Julius Randle and there's everyone else.
Is someone feeding you answers right now?
$100,000. I think. Yeah. So, what do you think of the show, man? As someone who never saw Titanic, what do you think of it?
I was a bit skeptical when it first started. I'm like, this is like every other show that Netflix keeps trying to make me watch.
Yeah, but
they're
like,
all in Scandinavia. It's like another dark, brooding show about a tortured police officer, and I'm just waiting for the child to die because it's always a child.
it's a murder shit.
It's always a murdered child, and all that happened. It was incredibly predictable, and yet I was drawn to this show because it looks good. The acting's good. I kind of into it.
It's awesome.
I gotta say, the fourth episode, no spoilers,
Shit hit the fan.
kinda turned into a comedy, and I like it.
Every good thing is kind of a comedy. I rewatched Seven the other day. That thing is hilarious. That movie is funny because like graphic designers have gone through it. Like we've gone through all the memes. What's in the box? It's like, is it a pizza? I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I hear you on the Mare of Easttown. It's a murder story, and I kind of wanted to bristle against like Netflix giving us this again, or any platform, because it's kind of rare to get a good one. Like you had your favorite thing, The Undying, that was awesome, but I feel
But
like
it was
those
not
are rare.
good.
Oh, the Mare of
Awesome, but
Easttown
not
is
necessarily
good, right? The Undoing was kind of a hazy Phantom Menace art project. The Mare of Easttown is like a Fincher thing, where it's just like solid and noirish, right?
But I agree, and I was content with it being that. But I thought the fourth episode, it got funny. Like some funny stuff happened in that episode in like multiple places. I'm like, did you sneak a comedy by us? Is that what this actually is? Like the scene in the basement with
No spoilers.
the daughter. Right.
Yeah.
No spoilers at all.
Yeah.
But like that was funny. Like that was funny.
Yeah.
There was no other interpretation of that entire sequence as being anything but funny.
Well, that daughter really throws me for a loop because she was hilarious in Far From Home, the Spider-Man movie. So I always think she's going to bust back into that character in Far From Home, and she doesn't. So it's very baffling to me. I think the casting is awesome. That guy, Kate Winslet's partner, who was the guy who ran fast in the X-Men movies, he's awesome. I enjoy the show. Murder shit. But like, I always want Leonardo DiCaprio to pop up in Kate Winslet movies because to me they're bound together.
How many episodes is the Mare of Easttown?
I don't know. Should be
Because
82 like the Sixer season.
72.
No, this one.
I think my question here is, how long do we have to warn people about spoilers? Will this become a cultural phenomenon that we can just talk with impunity about, knowing that every listener is caught up on the comings and goings of Mare?
Well, I don't believe in spoilers, especially since like the last episode was a week ago. Like, I think someone was like, don't spoil like Batman for me, and I was like, oh, that came out like 10 years ago. When do we begin and end with this? But we'll just have the interns just put spoiler alert on the episode description.
Hey, you know what? You should check out that movie Usual Suspects. It's Kevin Spacey. He's Kaiser Soze. You bastard!
Spoiler alert, the ending of Citizen Kane is not about Derek Rose.
This is about his friend.
Called Bud. It's Rose's Bud. which would be Taj Gibson. Citizens Kane is about Taj Gibson.
Most people don't know this.
The streets are saying. But I really enjoy this long negative space, kind of like poverty porn murder show kind of thing, especially when it's done well. But I do feel bad for the people who live in Easttown who might be like, what the hell, man? We shop at Whole Foods and we're not like murderous hicks, you know?
Hi, I simply work at the prison in Dannemora.
Yeah. I have a mustache, not a handlebar mustache. I drive a pickup truck, but like from 2020.
Yeah, they really pushed that child pregnancy rate here in Mare of Easttown.
Yeah.
Like every teen has a kid.
Yeah. Back to your original point and this point, how come there's no private investigator or detective that isn't like deeply troubled in any story? They're always fucked up, man. Which is a welcome thing. But at this point, we got to get back to Law and Order, where these guys are in their tip-top game shape.
But even the god, like Goran,
he was very troubled.
Mother issues.
The number one, Oedipal complex. The number one, or Freudian, number one crime show, Criminal Intent. I've decided it. The streets have said. So.
Oh, have you watched any of the new Law and Order?
Was Stabler back?
Stabler back, organized crime.
Yo, he's got a wagon, man. That was trending for a second. There was a picture of him looking Lowry-esque.
He is unconscionably thick.
He's got no regard for that junk.
No, it's brazen.
I have not seen any recent Law and Orders because it kind of jumped the shark a little bit. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago when like Olivia almost died in a kidnapping, I kind of lost track. But I do love me some Stabler, so that pairing is sort of a classic pairing like Taj Gibson and Derrick Rose.
I was never a Special Victims Unit fan overall. I watched it, enjoyed them. I like the OG Law and Orders the best.
Those were funny.
I like Criminal Intent, but I really like the ones from like the 90s. They had incredible back-to-backs. It was like, this one's about the death of Michael Jordan. This one's about the Crown Heights riots. I'm like, oh, what a cultural tapestry. Like just banger one after another of ripped from the headlines stuff from like our youth and childhood. It's really great.
I just went to a game featuring an Asian point guard who went for 30 points, and my friend got murdered.
He's been murdered.
And he was found behind a dumpster.
They're the best. They're the best. They're great. Like, I mean, it felt like it definitely jumped the shark when it would be like, all right, there's one that's kind of about the McKibben lofts, and you're like, oh, okay, enough.
People have been talking about those McKibben lofts lately, man.
Oh, I saw that. I don't know why.
It's like some anniversary. Yo, I do not have good memories of the McKibben lofts. Those are grimy ass places.
No, all I think of is drinking short boys in crowded apartments that probably had bed bugs.
Yeah, and like it was far to get to if you lived in Chinatown, and by the time you got there, it was too late. I don't know. It's better now, but in my wild youthful days of drinking short boys, it wasn't my favorite place. Like, yo, we're going to McKibben Lofts. I'm like, okay.
No, never.
Yeah.
Not once was I excited. So I'm like, hey, my friends are throwing a party this Friday. You should come. Like, cool. And like, it's at McKibben. Like, can I get out of this?
Yeah. There's a rave happening at McKibben Lofts right now. I'm like, oh, well, if you're taking a cab there, I guess. I have these 4 warm short boys in my cargo pants. Cargo shorts, my bad.
Yeah, I don't really have the same fond memories of McKibben that other people do, but shout out to McKibben.
Yeah, shout out to bedbugs.
So I guess my thing is we can't really talk about the suspects yet for Mare of Easttown because we're holding.
No, let's do it. Come on, like
okay, let's do it. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm gonna make a note when we're spoiling, and I'll let people know.
Which
If they're listening
busy
to it right
friend
now,
are you
they would
trying to
then know it.
sully the good reputation of which good busy friend?
All right, let's get down to this. So one theory that's been floating around is that it's the author.
Of course it is. This is the Ed Bagley Jr. Law and Order thing. This
Why else is he on the show?
he's kind of a movie star, and he's the bad guy in everything.
Right. And of course, beyond the Law and Order casting thing, like why is Whoopi Goldberg here as a foster mother? What's her, just wanted to be on this episode of Law and Order?
Oh, interesting. Like you have Martin
she's
Short as a psychic. That's weird. He's a psychic who's advising the detectives. Huh. Martin Short. Weird. Famous.
So that theory is a clear indicator that it is the author.
Guy Pearce, right.
And also the timing of, like, I've been here for a year, right when the first murder happened.
I'm just
First
a
murder.
nice
First-
guy.
First murder happened when he arrived, and he hasn't been doing much, just hanging out, doing like anniversaries of his book soirees.
Being a painfully nice, polite guy. Who could resist this?
And he just happens to want to bone the woman who's in charge of the investigation and asks questions about how it's going a lot.
I want to draw you like one of my French girls.
So the question here is it a red herring?
Oh, yeah, misdirection. Nice, nice.
A little pump fake for our basketball listening friends.
A little gravity misdirection. Have Steph Curry run into the corner like Guy Pearce.
What do you think? Are we just going to say it's him and ride this out? Or is this show too smart for that?
I hope it doesn't do the undoing thing where it's just like we let you on this wild goose chase, but it's Occam's razor. It's who you always thought it was. That's like less fun. So
they're giving us misdirection with the priest.
what would be the most 90s aughts ass ending would be Mayor has a split personality, right? And she's the murderer.
Busy friend.
She's her own busy friend.
Actually, that's it. It's always it.
She's very busy. She's always turning down Guy Pearce, being like, well, Saturday, maybe I'll go to your book signing.
And what was the deal with the partner being like trying to holler?
That's what I'm saying.
That was a bizarre twist.
How is she so irresistible? I mean, if you saw Titanic like most everybody in the world, you would know that Kate Winslet is apex desirable. So just having her being mayor, everyone can't be invincible to her charms.
Okay. I see where you're going with that.
Yeah, thanks.
But the partner thing was weird because he's never indicated that he was interested in her at all.
I disagree. He gave her some looks in episode 3.
Okay.
And then he shot his shot in episode 4, which was kind of sweet, right? Like she was like, "Are you asking me on a date?" And he said, "Only if you say yes." I thought that was a nice bit of writing right there.
But it was also odd because is she coming back to the force after her like trying to frame someone for a crime?
She planted some heroin in some car. Not good.
Like, is she
Classic
gonna-
cop
is she-
behavior.
Classic cop move. Is she coming back to the force and they're going to be working together? I was confused.
Is she going to rejoin the force at the same time Stabler does? And we're allowed to talk about Stabler's junk and Lowry's junk, but then all other junk is blind to me. I just don't know.
Yeah, I've seen a couple episodes of the Law and Order Organized Crime. Not good. It's not good. It sucks. It's they got away from the format of
Procedural stuff.
of procedural solving crimes. It's like one long sprawling saga with like a crime family against him, and they're not scary.
Yeah.
They're not cool looking.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem based in New York at all, in the same way that Law and Order was kind of charming.
Yeah.
When
Lots of Lower East Side.
yeah, that stuff was, and they had New York people in it. This one just doesn't. I don't know. Not into it.
I was just in a tour of Dime Square, and we turned the corner to see where the drum and bass party used to be, and there was a dead body.
Hey, toss me a small boy. You throw it to me, it goes over my head, and body.
Wow. Wow. With like still warm Scars pizza next to the mouth. It's just like, this is a fresh kill, guys.
And then I come up with my cop partner and I say, "Forget me not." And then you hear the music.
Yeah. And then your cop partner asks you out on a date. And all of a sudden you're the mayor of Dime Square.
Or, you find a body outside of a Greek restaurant and it looks like someone was having a little kiki.
Someone was getting kiki here. We got to get special victims units in here. This is some kiki shit.
Oh, this body outside a clandestino. Someone had a secret that they didn't know how to keep.
Guys, I think he had more than one beer. He is dead.
Body outside of Dimes. I wish someone would drop a dime on the murderer who committed this crime. Make our case easier, partner.
Wow, this body outside of Wu's Wonton. Who's on first? Who done it?
Doom.
When I used to DJ and we used to get a little silly late night, we used to drop the Law and Order theme, which was hilarious. Like when everyone was dancing, we'd be like, bam, 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 bam. It would get some laughs. People would get drinks. It was fine during Smith's night sometimes.
I'm all about Law and Order Dime Square. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, well, we are the producers of it, so if anyone else tries to do this, you'll be hearing from our intern lawyers who are very hungry.
Very hungry, very litigious.
Yeah, just extremely hungry and litigious.
I got a lawyer that'll eat the case.
Yeah. You'd be surprised, like, how fierce they were in the courtroom and the buffet. Wow.
They do cross-examination like their ribs are touching, my guy.
Yeah. It's like they don't lose focus from the perp and that food, that gruel.
Speaking of food, Miami, Atlanta, Milwaukee, which of those is going to be the Knicks' first meal to dine on in the 2021 NBA playoffs?
Are you asking me which of these teams looks like a snack for the Knicks?
Only if you say yes.
Only if the answer is yes.
Only if the answer is the Hawks.
It's like, oh, that's sweet. And then how is he not in trouble for doing that? Anyway, I think I would bring them all on. Bring on the Sixers. Bring on what the East got because the Knicks are ready, man.
Okay.
Julius Randle's healthy. Emmanuel Quickly's getting his rest. Taj Gibson is a god. Let's do this.
You done?
Sure.
Great. So the potential playoff dancing partners: Miami, the Hawks, the Bucks. That's kind of it, as far as I can tell, for who the Knicks may play in the first round. That seems to be the likely opponents. As someone who enjoys the Knicks, but is not specifically a Knicks fan, I think there's two ways of looking at this, right? There's the Hawks are probably the team they're most likely to beat, and getting into the next round would be super fun. That'd be exciting. They'd then play an even better opponent. Maybe they play Brooklyn, they play Philly. That's fun.
Yeah.
Or would it be great to just see them go to war against Miami, conjuring up the late 90s of Pat Riley and Jeff Van Gundy hanging around a player's ankle? Like, is Miami, New York, is that so fun that that's the one we want to see?
I think that whole rivalry is gone. That was an amazing rivalry. Everyone left the bench. PJ Brown, Charlie Ward getting flipped over like the WWF. But I think that, like, I love the Heatles. The Heat kind of took their own path and the Knicks went goth. But so I don't see that as like a cultural rivalry anymore. But I kind of do see the Hawks as like a tastier opponent just because Trae Young is just a more interesting player than anybody on the Heat, to be honest. Like, Jimmy Butler is probably the best player on the court of any of those three teams, but we've seen Jimmy. I want to see Trae Young in the playoffs.
Trae Young will be reviled for life in New York City. if the Hawks play the Knicks this year and beat them because he'll be doing Trae Young stuff.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
And I'm mostly referring to him flopping around like a little rag doll and drawing copious amounts of fouls, which he does exceptionally well, particularly on the pick and roll or coming off a high screen where he curls and just stops. And
I
the
want him to
defender runs into him.
nutmeg Nerlens Noel.
How dare you?
I mean, I love Nerlens, but like, can someone get nutmegged?
He might do a nutmegging.
Yeah, there's been a nutmegging. He stopped doing that after your boy Trevor Ariza took offense, which is disappointing.
Nick for life.
Yeah, best Knicks draft pick. Maybe he's on his 30th year.
So you would like to see the Hawks? That's your druthers.
Yeah, only because I think that team is youthful and fun, and I love Bogdanovich. The Heat, to me, that was it last year's story, man. They're good. They're really good. I love Bam Adebayo, but do I want to see Goran Dragic going for 35 against the Knicks? Like, okay.
I mean, Tyler Hero versus the Knicks.
Oh, Hero's fun. Yeah, I forgot about your boy, Tyler Hero. Still, Trae Young, man. I want Trae Young.
Okay.
Is that fair?
I don't want them to play the Bucks.
The Bucks are good and boring, as we always say, but I really enjoy the Bucks, man. Dante DiVincenzo is entertaining.
They're a very good team, a legit contender. I don't want to see them play against the Knicks. They'll beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, that's not a good matchup.
Knicks defense is legit. This is not even there's just too much of a difference between the caliber of those teams.
Sure, yeah, I agree.
I mean, one's a contender, one is not. I don't view the Heat as a serious contender. I don't view the Hawks as a contender at all.
Yeah, the Heat are firmly a 5th seed, as they were last year. They could catch lightning in a bottle.
Totally.
Jimmy Butler's an awesome player, but I don't see them in the top tier of like the Knicks and 76ers. I mean, just the 76ers.
You mean just the Knicks?
I mean, just the Knicks. Yeah, I don't know what I want from these playoffs, but I feel good about any of these matchups because the Knicks kind of like play this style of game that brings their competition down to them. I just enjoy it. It's just like dirty and gross and classic
Weirdly,
90s stuff.
Weirdly, they remind me quite a bit of the Doug Holland Sixers team that
that's interesting.
went to the playoffs and knocked out the Bulls after Derrick Rose got hurt, and then took the Celtics, who were much better than them, to Game 7.
Was that the
They
Pierce
remind me a
Walker
lot of
era?
that team, though.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, Derrick Rose. Taj Gibson. Taj Gibson was on that team, right?
That was the one, but that was Rose suffered the horrible knee injury, and then they were
That was
cooked.
wild. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think the enthusiasm I feel about going into the playoffs is confusing. After I got my second vaccine shot, I thought I would be like one of those people being like, I started crying because it's been a very tough year for everybody. But I felt kind of angry, if that makes sense. I was like, this is some bullshit. I hate this. Like, I'm very, very grateful to have gotten this shot, but this whole thing sucks. And I kind of feel a version of that with the Knicks. I'm just like, well, you got the bull, like, get the horns. Like, now we have to play a really good team, and like, I don't see the Knicks getting out of the second round, but at the same time, the Knicks are not a bad team. I think they deserve to be out of the play-in for sure. I think they're in the right spot.
You know what? I'm looking at the 2012 Sixers right now. This comparison stands up. They were, like the Knicks, ranked 3rd defensively. They're 20th in offense. They kind of did the same stuff. They
But
were
totally different era, right? Like, it's hard to take rankings from that long ago.
right. I'm saying they did the same thing. They made games against better opponents really gross via having excellent defense. They don't shoot a lot of threes. They don't get to the foul line a lot. They take care of the ball. I'm just saying. I think that
Yeah.
that they felt the same way, and I looked at their numbers. Pretty similar, kind of the same thing.
I mean, I'm proud of the Knicks because I'm proud of them. I'm excited for them because they are the team that, like, no team is really going to enjoy playing. I think when teams get matched up against maybe Rudy Gobert, they lick their chops a bit. The Knicks aren't really a chop licking team.
Go on.
Because there's way to solve certain teams. The way to solve the Knicks is annoying, right? Like, you have to absorb a lot of fouls. You have to absorb a lot of trapping. There's a lot of handsy players on the Knicks. Like, it is an annoying team to play. Nerlens Noel and Taj Gibson are frustrating to play against, and I love them for it. And I just think I'm glad this is the team, because I do believe some teams might be licking their chops against Giannis.
That Bucks team is very good.
They're awesome.
I think they've. How's the best way of saying this? I think they've diversified their portfolio a bit, and they've moved away from straight dork ball that they did last year, because as we saw, there are certain limitations to that. If you go against teams who have high level 3-point shooting, the math changes.
Yeah.
And that offense with just having Giannis plunge into the paint, if you had Bam Adebayo and you have a disciplined defense that gets back in transition, that also had limitations. So I think they may be more dangerous this season with the addition of Drew Holiday and being more athletic.
Yeah, Drew Holiday's awesome.
I mean, right? He's just an upgrade.
Yeah.
But beyond that, they don't really have guys like Ersan or Marvin Williams or even Wesley Matthews out there. Guys who had good seasons, but they're just more athletic. I think they're more acclimated to playing against better opponents, and they're not as reliant on like the math working out in their favor. Push the tempo, let them take contested threes, don't give up twos in the paint, and the math will work out 80% of the time.
Yeah. And I think they made adjustments from last year. I really love DiVincenzo and Drew Holiday. I think they are really great basketball players to have on your team, and Dante doesn't really take his usage in the same way. Like,
He's a good player.
Yeah, I think he's a they have like the pieces. I think any good team would have a player like him. I like the Bucks. They are so boring, but I really like them. Giannis is not my favorite player to watch, but I hope they get eliminated so we don't have to deal with them. But I don't want them to be not celebrated either.
No, they deserve our respect, but not our attention.
Yeah, like the Nets, the Sixers, the Heat, and the Knicks. That's fun shit, right?
Charlotte's fun, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Washington's fun. There are the East. The dregs of the East are actually pretty cool this year because you have rebuilding teams like the Celtics. You have
up and coming teams like the Hornets.
But
the Pacers are kind of a bummer, right?
Pacers are a bummer.
They're always a bummer. That team is never fun. Actually, the last time they were fun was Malice in the Palace. That was an electric team, and then they've never really been able to enter the zeitgeist in the same way.
So, right now, the East is definitely pretty set.
Yeah, do you think the Wizards are going to make it? 7, 8, 9, 10 is the play-in, right?
Yeah, so it's going to be the Pacers and the Wizards, right?
Or the Pacers and the Celtics and the Hornets.
It's two extra teams. So the play-in teams right now are Boston.
Oh.
I think we're wearing their play-in uniforms the other night. I saw
limited edition. I heard a lot of leprechauns are cop that limited edition play-in jersey.
A lot of leprechauns died so they could make that play-in edition.
Leprechaun blood, Yeah, so I'm looking at the standings. Celtics, Hornets, Pacers, Wizards in that order, 7 to 10.
Oh, Boston, Washington playing? Woo!
Yo, Westbrook he's fun, man.
Washington wins. I'm sorry, Washington wins that game. Sorry.
Don't apologize.
Sorry.
Don't.
Sorry. I know I'm apologizing too much.
Don't apologize.
Sorry.
Don't. As they say, tall white guys should never apologize.
That's what they say.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Jaylen Brown going out, I wish Jaylen Brown was healthy. That's a more fun team with him on it.
You're right. They don't have Jaylen Brown. They're not that good of a team. Get them the fuck out of the playoffs. Let them lose first round. I'd rather watch Washington than Boston.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Pacers still have Karis LeVert, so that's kind of entertaining. Always love him.
But I hope they lose to Charlotte if this is how the play-in games break down.
Yeah, I don't know how the bracket works, but it looks like the Wizards and Celtics would play, and then the Hornets and Pacers, and then the winner of that.
Just to me, as a Sixers fan who have the number one seed, if they ended up playing any of those teams, I'm not that worried.
No,
You know,
no, the Pacers are-
upsets happen, but like, it's not that would rather avoid Boston. Beating the shit out of Boston would probably be entertaining in some ways, but I'd rather watch Washington and like Westbrook going crazy out there. That's just more entertaining basketball than like a beat up Celtics team that's kind of been on fumes for the last month and a half.
Yeah, the Celtics don't have that much juice. I know we always like to poke fun, but like they're kind of not like, even as a villain, they're not that interesting because they're not good. So like, yeah, I think the Wizards are must-see TV this year. The Pacers, and the Hornets. I mean, LaMelo Ball being healthy, I want to see him like do his thing.
They're a cool team. Bridges, is he out for the playoffs, or is he going to be back?
I'm not sure. Bridges is like an okay player who has amazing highlight dunks, man. But he's like an okay player.
He's okay. Good rapper, good dunker. Things
Maybe
I
the
like.
best rapper of all NBA rappers.
Like, not Mount Everest to climb, but nonetheless, it's a thing.
Yeah. It disappointed me that he raps about NBA stuff, but when he does, he's like better. Like, who was the top? I mean, I love Shaquille O'Neal.
He was talking about doing drugs and like getting head in the Beamer. You know, he's a little gully.
Yeah, yeah. Does he talk about pounding short boys in Dime Square though?
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
That
mostly,
too.
mostly that's his thing.
Yeah, most all the other times, yes, he's talking about that.
Yeah, mostly it's about being outside of servos, drinking a short boy.
Pounding a short boy. And the mayor of Pound Town is what they call him. Yeah, the East looks super fun. I am excited about these playoffs. We're in the doldrums of the NBA because things are kind of set. I just want all these teams to stay healthy, and let's go, man.
Yeah, because same deal in the West. Like, there's virtually no chance that the Sacramento Kings are going to catch the Spurs. So their 10 are set. It's just placement at this point.
Yeah, the Lakers being in the play-in is funny. But the West doesn't have that jazz. It doesn't have like the fire it does usually. The Suns are kind of interesting.
If you got the Lakers, the Warriors, Memphis, Spurs are the play-in teams. I really would hope that we would get the Lakers and the Warriors out of that group.
Oh, to come out to win.
Right.
I agree. Curry's going off. Yo, just by talking about this, the play-in tournament is working. It's fun, right? Like, this is more interesting than just taking the top 8 teams. Like, there's some intrigue here.
I think it is a bit unfair and kind of stupid, but I'm into it. Anyway.
Yo, unfair and stupid, it's fine. Like, it's part of the product now, right? Like,
look, I didn't say unfair and stupid were bad things. I just said that it's unfair and stupid. It's unfair and stupid, but it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, marketing a week-long play-in tournament is pretty awesome.
And the 4 teams are in it, and 2 of them make it. So it's not like, okay, you came in 8th and you got to go against 9, 10, 11.
Yeah.
And one person does. It's like 2 of the guys make it, and they're most likely going to be the better teams.
Since I never use Google and everything's off the dome, like Miles Bridges, do the top 2 teams from the tournament play each other for that 7th and 8th seed, right? So the tournament has 2 games each, so it's 4 total games with both conferences.
Yes, I think that's correct.
It's not a default 7th or 8th seed based off of record or anything. They have to play each other, right?
I do believe it's based on what happens in the tournament stays in the tournament.
Wouldn't you game the fuck out of that? I guess you don't, like, let's say you really want to play the Sixers. You just tank that game, right? Let's say you really want Gobert, and if you're the Warriors, or if you're the Lakers, be like, we can take Gobert over CP3 and the Suns. You lose that game on purpose, right?
I mean, more hypothetically than this season in particular, I would say yes. Because I don't know if there's an advantage to playing Brooklyn or Philadelphia. I don't know if there's an advantage
that one's a
to
bad
playing.
example because
and Utah Phoenix is kind of weird too.
I'd rather play Utah without Donovan Mitchell.
Maybe that's true.
Well,
But to your
Ingalls
point,
is rolling.
yes, you just lose the game.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's going to be interesting. It did work to a degree, right? Like, there isn't rampant tanking like there was between the leveling of the odds and the play-in. We're not seeing that much egregious tanking this year.
I kind of disagree. I think it's actually, I wholeheartedly disagree. The Rockets are tanking viciously.
At the
OKC
bottom. Yeah,
is
yeah.
tanking to an extent that surpasses anything Sam Hinkie would have dreamed. Like, they just stopped playing NBA players.
Yeah, I mean, up top for sure, it's the Cade sweepstakes. But in the middle, like the Spurs, Kings, and Pelicans, like they were trying up until like a week ago. I mean, the Pelicans got hurt, but those teams were not tanking.
I have not been paying attention to what Detroit has been doing. I presume they're also tanking.
Detroit has lost 3 in a row, 2-8 in the last 10. They got some interesting players on that team, man. Hamidou Diallo is interesting, Kentucky dude that I want on the Knicks. But like, I like Killian Hayes. I think the Pistons are like in pretty solid shape, but they're 20-50, so they're not trying to do anything except getting Jalen Suggs.
And then Minnesota went and won some games, which makes it pretty likely they're going to lose their pick to Golden State.
Why do teams do this? But yeah, I mean, Minnesota is stacked and they're so bad. It's confusing. If you transplanted that lineup into Madison Square Garden and put them in goth makeup, chainmail, and big leather overcoats, New York would be going nuts, man. Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards are on that team.
Well, I sort of think they're not that bad. And in some ways, strategically, if they were able to hold out this year being bad and get like one more pick, that would be obviously really beneficial, because I don't think they're that bad. When Towns is healthy and
good.
Anthony Edwards has played well for a rookie, Russell, when he's been healthy, he's been pretty good. Just overall, that is not a bad team when those guys play.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just adding another player or using that pick to acquire another player. Like, they got moves, so they're in good shape.
Still don't really know why they traded Covington. He's kind of the perfect guy to have on that team.
I don't know why anyone trades Covington. He's kind of the
also,
perfect...
Also that.
Yeah. It's like you want players like him, right? Not that expensive, really great, and versatile. I don't know.
And a minimalist. Like, he give him threes, he chucks them up. He doesn't dribble. He doesn't do anything else.
Yeah.
He just stands there and chucks up threes when he's open.
Yeah, I like when when Morey kind of used him at the 5 and kind of revamped. He traded away Capella to feature Covington. I thought that was just going to be like, oh, it's no longer a secret. Robert Covington is one of those players that should be coveted more because he can do so many things for you. But I don't know. He moved teams again.
And I think he's been pretty good on Portland, too, even though he had one of his dreaded cold snaps early in the year.
Yeah, he goes cold for sure. But Portland's 9-1 in the last 10, so they're rolling. I'm so tired of Dame Dollar in the playoffs. I cannot describe to you.
I'm sorry. I zoned out there for a second. What are we talking about? The Timberwolves, right?
Oh, excuse me. I kind of fell asleep for a second there. What were we talking about? The Nuggets, right?
So check this out. In the roughly 270 some minutes that Anthony Edwards, Towns, and Russell have been on the court together, they're scoring 126 points per 100 possessions in the 99th percentile.
That's a lot of pizza.
Cleaning the glass. Their effective field goal percentage is 60% in the 99th percentile. Their differential net rating, +8 per 100 possessions. And their defense blows.
But
So,
yeah.
That's a fun team.
Yeah, you can get it done with like an excellent offense. Everyone's just one Nerlens away, man. Just slap Nerlens Noel on that team, and all of a sudden you have a reasonable defense.
And Nerlens.
Just one Nerlens and Nerlens.
One can of Nerlens tall boy coming up.
Yeah. I mean, they had your boy Taj Gibson, so they had the jewels in the safe.
Nerlens was there for anyone who wanted to pay him $3 million.
Insane. Like, do Robert Covington and Nerlens Noel have bad breath?
Covington's at least gets regular money.
Yeah.
He's just had only one contract. He's still on it. You know, the Sixers signed him to a 4-year deal after he was on that minimum deal for 4 years. So like, he's never even been a real free agent in any sense.
Right. Yeah.
Nerlens hopefully gets the bag, as they say, after this year. I hope someone pays him some real money.
I want the Knicks to give him like 13 to 16. I don't know. The Knicks have money. Pay somebody. He's an
give the guy
all-NBA player.
give him $10 million a year for a few years. Let him have some generational wealth in the Noel household.
Oh, I hope he's worth more than that. Like Jimmy Jackson was on TNT calling the Knicks game. He was like, they have a great defense, but they don't have a single defensive star. And then 2 seconds later, Nerlens like swatted up a shot. I'm like, dude, he's an all NBA first teamer. He might be depoy number 3, right? He's awesome, dude.
He's been great his whole career. It was
Yeah.
funny how people try to like burn me by being like, you said Nerlens Noel was great. I'm like, he is great. He's always been great. When was he not?
I mean, hot takes are weird, right? Because I agreed with you at the time, but everyone's right and wrong eventually. Like when Nerlens declines, everyone's going to be like, you owe us an apology. And I'm like, dudes, let's accept these takes and move on.
I'm just like, the guy didn't get a chance. Now, why? I have no idea.
Yeah, why doesn't he ever get a chance? He's getting a huge chance in New York, but
Yeah,
why
and he's made the most of it.
He's
You know,
awesome.
you look back and I feel like Nerlens. When did he get so good? I'm like, I think
always
he's
been good.
actually worse this year than he's been in the past.
He is. This is not one of the peak Nerlens years, but it's funky, right? Because he's not playing starters minutes. The rotations have been kind of uneven. He's been kind of hurt sometimes. He's a good
I mean,
player.
when you looked at him in, some of those seasons in Dallas where they barely played him, his numbers were crazy.
Yeah, he was good on Dallas. Is it his breath? Like, why do players like D'Lo, Covington, and Nerlens just bounce around? Because these are 3 pretty great players.
I don't know. And everyone seems to like Nerlens as far as his teammates go.
He seems like a rad dude. Yeah, right? Do they have political ideas that don't coincide with the other teammates? Are they anti-vaxxers? Like, what don't we know?
Nerlens is a deeply conservative Republican.
He believes that the left drinks the blood of rookies.
He stormed the Capitol looking for adrenochrome.
Listen, underneath the ravioli pizza shop, they drink the blood of college players. NCAA type A blood.
You've been figuring this out.
Thank you. Call me the mayor of the NBA.
No, you're the mayor of Dimes Square.
There's quite a few mayors of Dime Square at this point, man. I gotta say, there's less gruel in this mayoralship than there was before.
Less gruel to go around.
Yeah. But the same amount of gruel, just more mayors.
More mayors and perfect pods.
Wow.
How do
Incredible.
you feel? I feel like this was perfect.
Yeah, we don't want to risk not making this perfect. So I think this is time for us to get our flowers.
Great pod, guys.
Thanks, interns. Very litigious. These guys are fucking litigious. We got to get out of here, man.
They're animals, and they're about to sue us.
They're hungry and litigious.
Hungry for law.
And order.
Cookies.
Cookies.